Welcome back to part 2. We are joined with Mrs. Gregor, and we will learn about all the other elements of a pre-K day and all the learning that happens. I do want to bring it back and talk about, so we talked about the arrival, we talked about the routines that are established, which are so important for children to have routines at this age. Let's talk about the major parts of your schedule. So the different elements of your day. So we talked about coming in, we talked about when they arrive, what they do before breakfast, but there's some other key elements of your day. Can you kind of really quickly tell us and walk us through quickly what's happening at each one of those elements?
Okay, so we have story time because it's so important for children to be read to on a daily basis and multiple times a day. It gives them exposure to vocabulary, speech, asking questions about the story, works in their memory, and being able to retell stories, which are all key to their development and reading. We do a small group so we can differentiate. So I can work with kids where they are, and I can pull 4 or 5 kids at a time. And my assistant can have 4 or 5 kids. And we're working on specific skills that those children need to continue to learn and be ready and do what they need to do for kindergarten. We do center choice, where they get to choose where they play. And there's the learning going on, and there's a social emotional, that interaction between the students, so that they're learning, there's one cup, but the two of us want it. How are we going to solve this problem?
Conflict resolution.
Yes.
How are we solving this problem?
How are we solving
That's a real life problem.
Yes. And that's a skill that, if their social skills are so important. If you want to be able to succeed in kindergarten, first grade, all the other grades, your social skills have to be on point. They have to be where they need to be. Because if you're so worried about, he took the red pencil and I wanted the red pencil, and how to solve a problem, you're forgetting about the learning as you get older into the older grades. So we work a lot on those social emotional skills in those centers, sharing, helping each other out. What happens over in the block area? So we go in the blocks, and the visual and the building and drawing out what they want to do and trying to build it with the blocks. Well, they fall. Somebody might walk by and accidentally bump into it. Well, what do? We do get upset, and we talk about our feelings. Yeah, it's okay to be upset. But how do we handle that feeling?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, you walked by, you knocked my blocks down. Okay, well, do you want me to help you? Giving them those interactions and teaching them how to react. Yes, you can be upset for a minute because you worked hard on that and you were building that, but they didn't do it on purpose. It happened. How can we solve that problem?
Yeah.
They have choice. So they have their independence. They get to pick what they want to do. And it's not, they get to go and work in an area that they want to focus on.
I want to stop you right there because, again, so many good jewels. And you're only if you're at choice, you're not even at lunch yet.
No.
Right? So again, this is probably now, you're probably in school maybe, an hour and a half, maybe?
Hour and a half to 2 hours at that time.
Yeah. And so some of the things that you mentioned, just as a former teacher, I love to hear about. And one, it's using words, right, to express themselves. Children are going to have to advocate. They have to advocate, and we want to teach them to advocate for themselves. But I think we also want to teach them how to regulate themselves. Because all what I heard you say is use your words, because basically when you say, how are we figuring this out? Well, you got to use your words. You have to communicate. You have to share how you feel. You have to, recognize what you're feeling, be able to communicate what you're feeling, and then regulate those feelings. That's a lot.
Yes.
For a little part. That's a lot for an adult. Have you been fussed out by an adult? They didn't learn how to regulate their feelings.
Yes.
So I love that. And then I love story time. It's so important to share stories with children because it builds that curiosity. It builds that wonder. But it also gets into that instructional piece that you were starting to talk about too, around identifying, elements of a story, what came first, titles, all that good stuff is also wrapped into not only hearing a good story or acting out a good story, but there's a purpose and intent behind stories.
Yes.
Which is, what you use to select the books that you're going to read. The theme I'm trying to get to is when they go into interest areas. Yes, you mentioned they play with blocks, but I'm sure there's some other pieces sprinkled in there that may be connected to your story that you read, that may be connected to what you talk about in small group. And what I want families to understand is that there is intentionality, right?
Yes.
So many times we hear pre-K, oh, they're just playing. Or they're not learning in pre-K. I go in that classroom, all they're doing is playing. Well, they're playing because that's how they learn, right? And so we're intentional as teachers by picking the story that relates to whatever we're talking about that interests them, at this particular time. But then we extend that learning into the block area, into the choice, the housekeeping, dramatic play, whatever you want to call it, into the manipulative. So, and then in your small groups, you're also working on individual skills. And so that demystifies folks saying, one, it's just play. Well, it's more than play. It's purposeful play. It's intentional play. And there's learning happening. But it also demystifies saying like, oh my God, all they do is sit together on the carpet all day. No. You said we're only 2 hours in and we've moved from the carpet. We're at the table. Now we're in the other parts of the room that's spread across for the interest areas. So there's a lot of movement and activities that are happening, and all of them build upon us learning. So whether that's a theme, so just like if you're learning about trees, right? So just for my families, just to give an example, if you're learning about trees, you might read a story on trees.
Yes.
But then as they're building in the block area, they may be building a structure that they're going to put in their tree, right? Or, or something like that, right?
Yes.
And then in housekeeping, they may be thinking about what foods come from trees or fruits come from trees.
Yes.
And I'm making a pie with my fruit that I've just picked off of this tree because I have imagination.
Yes.
So all of that is happening. So we're up to anything you want to add before I move us? Because right now we're right before lunch, if my brain serves me right.
Pretty much.
All right. So they're in interest areas. You and your assistant are working on small groups. And I love that you're doing that individualization because it's good to plan for a whole group, but we know each child is different. And it's good that you find that time to work with each child to build their skill level in a particular area and stretch them to where you want them to go. So we spent a lot of time talking about all the many things that are happening in classrooms, all the learning that's happening, the quiet times, the busy times, the, social times where they're, playing together. And I know, it's not just about that, right? There's materials that also are a key part of our classroom because within pre-K, the environment is our teacher, right? Our room, our environment is our teacher. So I know you have some things that you want to share with parents, some good resources that showcases what you use in the classroom every day.
Yeah. So I brought over, I just grabbed a couple things. So it's a tactile alphabet. So all the letters are like a sandpaper so that the children, some are visual and can look at that. Remember, that's an A. Some need that tactile where they can trace it and they're looking at the A. And depending on which kids I'm working on, if they know a lot of the letters, I can put more puzzle pieces out. If they know less of the letters, I put only a few letters out. And we're matching the letter with a picture that starts with it. And they're all self-correcting. So the A will only match up and fit with the F. So that way we can work on it with small group, but then they can also work on it during their free choice if they want. They're able to put it down together correctly because it only fits together with the one match.
And what I love about this is it's a good scaffold piece, right? So for those students who might only know the letter or some letters, it's a good way to encourage them by first touching, tracing,
Yes.
and then moving into the actual letter. But then for those who may be advanced, maybe some of our 4-year-olds who recognize the letter, can all write the letter, now you can move into sound. And what does that beginning sound like with this one set of resources?
And then you also have the vocabulary, because you come up with some pictures that some kids don't know. Like you have the queen usually with Q, or sometimes a quail, and they want, oh, it's a bird. I'm like, but Q, like with my kids that know the letter sounds, Q, what sound does Q make? And they say, qua. Well, then does bird start qua? And then it's like, oh no, it doesn't. So then what could this be?
Right.
And then it's discussing, and it's like, it is a bird, but this type of bird is a quail, and it starts with a Q. So you're working on vocabulary, beginning sounds, the phonemic awareness.
I love it.
With that, we have sorting. So this was just sorting by where you would find the material. So you have the farm, the garden, the zoo, works on vocabulary also, but sorting, how do these go together? And then it's the cards are, so if we have the farm, they have the spots for them. And then we can talk about, why are these animals on the farm? Where else could we find them? They have the zoo animals. What's the difference between farm animals and zoo animals? So there's just a lot of conversation and vocabulary that you can build on. Math, the kids have been working on number recognition. Do they recognize their numbers? Can they count? One of the things with this is, if you have the numbers out of order, your picture is not the correct way.
Yeah.
So they can, some of the kids can put it together without any help. I will also, all the different pictures are on the back. So we'll look at the picture and, okay, let's look. And then counting on, if they're up to 4, okay, well, what do you know that comes after 4? And can they come up with 5?
Yeah.
Oh, we can't come up with 5. Okay, how do we do that? Oh, let's go back to 1. Let's count from the beginning so we can find out what number comes next, and then look for that number.
Yep.
So there's different skills that they're working on, just based on their level, without them even knowing that they're learning counting on and number names and number sequence.
And what's so good about these are great and a good resource for families, but you can count objects at home. Like families can count objects at home, and they can also pull objects that sound with the same letter as their child's name. So a lot of things that can be done that we're doing at school, at home, with free materials.
Yes.
All right, we're going to move into, you've given a lot, so many jewels, right? And so many great pictures of what is actually happening in a busy pre-K room. So one, I want to thank you for that, and just for being a phenomenal teacher and sharing your gift with us. But as we move to the next session, I want to play a game that I love. It's called Red Light, Green Light. Did you play that as a kid?
Well, I don't think it's the same red light, green light as you have the paddles, but we did play a red light, green light as a kid.
Okay. All right. So how it works is, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. And then if the question may not seem to be the right answer, you can pick up the red paddle. If it's kind of true, but maybe depending on how you look at it, yellow. If it's the correct answer, then you want to pick up the green. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Just a couple questions. All right. So the first question is, pre-K is mostly play and very little structure. Tell me why you said that.
There is a lot of play, but it's not unstructured. They have activities, like we just did wheels. So in the blocks, we had a ramp. We had different textured materials on the ramp. Which one makes the car go slow? Which wheels roll slower? Which wheels go faster? Why? What happens with that? We brought in the pulley. We talked about the wheel and the pulley. We connected it with the cranes when you're building. How are they going to move all this material? We talked about wheels in the hospital. So like they're learning about wheels and the importance of them through their hands-on play that was structured and put out there.
But
and
it was still play
Yes.
And they were still having conversations and they were still working together and they were learning, but it was play, but it was purposeful play.
Yes.
Because you had intention behind the skills and the conversations that you wanted to kind of start to have with them.
Yes.
And build on their curiosity.
Yes. And then they can talk to you that, their own use with wheels and how they've used wheels and make it connected to their own life.
I love that you said we connected it to different things, not only in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. Because, so many times people think that learning only happens in school, but learning is all around us. And everyone can be a teacher in the sense of introducing something new to someone, right?
Yes.
You're teaching them. So yeah, I love that. So my next question for you, if you've seen one pre-K classroom, you've seen them all.
Well, I don't know if I should go red or maybe a yellow.
Okay, go ahead. Tell me why. There's no right. There's no right. Your thoughts.
Because, we have 2 preschool classrooms here. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of the same centers, but we have different thoughts on how we want to set them up and how we want to interact with them. So
based off of your children, right? Too.
It's based off your kids, based off of what you're comfortable, like how you want to move it, how you want to set it up. And then you have some really creative people that love to, add all the little extra decor. And then you have people that have a harder time with the decor, but it's not always about, what's on the wall. It's about what's happening in there. But I hope that all the classrooms that you do walk into have that academic, so that's the part that should be the same, where they're learning. It's not just unstructured play. It's a purpose of we're going to learn what we're learning today and our social skills and interacting. So physically, they may not all look the same, but what is happening in there with your reading the stories and your interacting and your social skills and community should be the same.
You should see similar elements, right? But how it's organized or maybe packaged may be different based off of the children and the teacher and everyone's personality and interest, right? And so I love that you say that. And one of the ways that as a district leader, we try to ensure that there's some sense of continuity, but then there's also each school is different, each classroom is different, each teacher is different. We provide a curriculum that allows teachers to be flexible with what they introduce to children based off children's interests and when and how. It gives them a guide on how to bring it to life in the classroom based off of children interests and needs. So it's not a structured one size fits all, but there is that opportunity to build off of what your children are able to do and what they're interested in.
And I know one of the themes that we have in the curriculum is trees.
Yes.
I love to do trees in the fall because the leaves are changing and you're seeing a difference. Mm-hmm. Trees in the wintertime is really not, you just have trees without the leaves.
Right.
But when you have the fall, you're changing from the green leaves to colored leaves to now no leaves at all. And I know other people like to do it in the spring as the trees are just coming back to life.
Yes.
And so you have that flexibility in your classroom. You're going to cover your academics, but depending on, with your students or even the teacher, you can change when you're, what theme you're working on and when you're doing it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what's important for families to know is that there is planning and there is purpose behind what's happening. And one of the key things that I know we all strive for here in the district is to ensure that students feel connected and they feel like they belong and they feel like they have voice and that they're having fun and they're enjoying coming to school every day.
Yes.
All right. My last question. Children are too young to learn routines. Tell me why.
If you're consistent and you give them the expectations, and you're going to have different kids at different ranges, where you're going to have kids that might need a reminder. Okay, we just came in. What do we need to do first? Yes, that's what we need. We need to go to our lockers. We need to put our coats up.
Yeah.
When we come in, what are we doing? And some kids, they have a routine. They come in, okay, I'm going here, doing this first. I'm going to this. But once they know the routine, they're more comfortable with what's going on because they know what to expect. My daughter as an adult does not like unexpected. If you say this is what we're doing and we're planning something and then it's like, well, how about we do this? It's like, no, we said this is what we're doing. So those expectations and knowing what's coming next helps so many of the children have that consistency, have that routine. It makes them more comfortable.
And there's a sense of regulation, right? Because I'm comfortable. I know what's happening. I know I'm getting ready to go to lunch now, right?
Yes.
So I don't have to worry about that. I think one last question, I'm sorry, before we go to real life grooming, I think this is going to help a lot of families is pre-K is mainly about preparing children for kindergarten academics.
So we are doing the academics. We're focused on, building their vocabulary, working with the fine motor skills, having them in writing, giving them a chance to draw, use paint, express themselves. But they're learning their self-regulation. They're getting themselves prepared for kindergarten in a way because they're learning how to control themselves, how to be in a school environment, how to walk in a hallway. Just little things that help them when they get into kindergarten. But I'm not, focused on, we have to be ready for kindergarten. You need to be able to do, we're building and we're growing and we're being exposed to what's going to help you be successful in kindergarten. It's so many skills that we work on, and that belonging, learning how to get along with each other. Because when you get into kindergarten, you have more academics and more sit down and let's work together. And we do that in there. We read the stories. Okay, let's turn and talk to each other about what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Turn and talk. What happened in the story? Tell them what was your favorite part. And it's building for kindergarten, but it's not like it's
not drill and kill. Yes, I think when people hear like, oh, we're preparing for kindergarten, they think they're sitting at tables, they're sitting on the rug, and they're not interacting, they're not engaging, they're not having opportunities to develop socially. And that is so not true, just based off of all the great things that you said happened in your classroom within the first hour and a half, right? And so, yes, I think we are preparing, but I think it's more about preparing the child to be who that child needs to be in order to be ready. So it's not so much about, oh, you got to learn all these letters or, oh, you got to learn all these numbers. It's not like that.
Yes, it's not that drill.
It's not that drill and kill.
It's hold up flashcards and drill it down. And that's the part that I'm like, it's not that. But we are preparing them by building those social skills, building the language,
building that
community,
helping with that self-regulation. Yes, all of those
along with each other and how to solve a problem because there are problems. You're not going to have 20 kids in a classroom and not have them upset about something during the day. It could be, they're sitting too close to me.
Yeah.
And just solving that problem. Well, you can move, or you can ask them to move over a little bit.
Yeah.
Just so it's a lot of things that you're building into kindergarten. But when I hear people, it makes me think like they want us to they think we're drilling in flashcards
But that's why we're here today, right?
Yes.
To demystify that, to, share with families that it's not drill and kill in pre-K.
Yes.
It's really about community and relationships and developmentally appropriate activities that allow them to play purposefully. We as educators know play is so important at every grade level, right? I do want to move to our take-home pack. I wouldn't be a good teacher, and neither would you, if we didn't give our families some instruction and some guidance. So we're going to give them a reminder. I'll allow you to do the reminder, and you can remind them to do anything related to what we spoke about today.
All
okay.
Right.
I'm going to give them an action item. And then if you want to give homework, or we can both give homework, something, we can either way. So I will ask you to give our families their reminder.
And we want you to come and sign up and get your babies in school.
Oh, yes.
I already have a parent. Okay, she's 3 in March. Can she sign up? I go, I will let you know when the window opens.
April 7th.
Okay. I think I have 2 parents, but you don't take them at 3. I go, oh, we do take
Yes,
them
we
at
do.
3. So I have 2 of my parents already talking to me about signing their babies up for next year.
So your reminder is access. You want them to apply for pre-K because you understand the value that pre-K brings, not only to children's lives, but to families' lives.
Yes.
Yes, I love that reminder. So get connected to your school or community-based agency and find a program that's right for your family. In the city of Chicago, we offer a mixed delivery model. Just like children aren't a one-size-fits-all and schools aren't a one-size-fits-all, neither are families. So we know that there are some families who want a full school day, 8 to 3. We know there are some families that need a 6 to 6. And that's where you tap into our community-based organizations. That's the one great thing about being in Chicago. We understand the needs of our families and have early childhood programs that are designed to meet those needs. All right. So that's your reminder. All right. So it's almost like a reminder and it could be an action item, right? I think my action item for families is centered around getting connected to your school. Reach out to your teacher. Learn about what's happening in the school. There could be some really good ways that you can connect that learning at home for your child for no cost, right? But it's building on what they're already doing and learning. The other action item is connected to that. It's really about getting connected. You might have a skill that you can bring to a classroom that enriches the learning that's happening in that classroom. So my action item for you is to get connected to your school and figure out what's happening and how you can contribute to that and how you can build onto it. Do you want to give homework?
As you were talking about that at our school, we have the parent room and we have activities to get the parents so that the parents can build the community too, in addition to that. So I know we have our computer teacher, her mom comes in and does sewing with some of the parents. We have a parent that I believe is teaching crochet.
Great.
So we have different activities. So you can bring your kid up here. You can come in. We have Miss Hudson who works with the parents. We'll put on workshops if you need help with something.
So really building that parent capacity around interest, but also how to support their kid too.
Yes.
Building on like what they are interested in and getting them connected in that sense and building a sense of community with the parents in the school.
Yes.
I love it.
They have the resources that, I'm having trouble with my child with this or that.
And having parents to talk through.
And we can, I know they did a grief visit, class.
I love that.
To get parents talking and just getting them help. Because as you said at the beginning, it's a lot of stuff going on. And, our babies need help, but so do our parents. And so we have that connection with the parents there.
I think we all need to connect. And I'm wrapping up and I'm going to give homework. And I would say my homework to you is to share this episode. I am so excited about all the good nuggets that were dropped today. So please subscribe, share this episode with other family members, with other colleagues, other teachers, and subscribe to join us here in the circle so you don't miss an episode. See you next time in the circle. Bye. That was such a great episode. And I want to take a moment to just highlight the importance of coming to school every day and being on time. There are so many things that students are exposed to within the first 30 minutes of school.